Peter Graves to Good Morning. How are you?
Good morning, John.
And welcome to you.
Oh, that's great. It's wonderful that they played that particular tape, because as I was coming down in the elevator this morning in my hotel, the elevator operator said, "Last night I saw the best Mission Impossible." I said, "What was it about?" He said, "It was about the gold that you get, you know." Yeah, and it's that one. And I remembered that we were supposed to drill a hole up underneath this vault where the gold was stored and then stick a heating device up there and melt the gold so it would flow down through the hole. Now, the special effects people were trying to figure out how to do that. I mean, it would take you 17 days to melt the gold.
I think that's one of the biggest impact that Mission Impossible has had on television. The special effects that were created by your group, they're still doing them in different variations. But they say flattery is the highest form of being a happy.
Yeah, we had a lot of imitators. In that particular case, they used some kind of butter pecan ice cream and melted that, and it looked just like gold.
Well, you know, that was quite a jump for me. I'm not a jump necessarily, but you played a father role in Fury. Then you go to Mission Impossible, and you become a sex symbol.
Ah, well, that's all.
Is that easy to handle?
Huh? Oh, it's all. Listen, successful shows are always easy to handle. That's no problem at all.
Now you're involved in Herman Wouk's The Winds of War.
Yes.
What is your role in this?
Palmer Kirby, if you've read the novel, is the American sort of industrialist scientist. You find him early on in Berlin trying to find out what the Germans are doing with heavy water. He becomes friendly with Pug Henry and his family, and eventually has the very serious love affair with Rhoda, Pug's wife. And it's a marvelous thing. I think it's going to be awfully good.
Well, not too long ago, Eileen had a chance to talk with Ally McGraw, and she discussed her part in the film. You want to listen in and hear what she had to say?
Yes, sure.
I had absolutely no idea what I was lucking into when I tested for the part of Natalie Jastrow. I mean, I thought it would be interesting and good and so forth, but, you know, it's now kind of a cause célèbre, and heaven knows I never had any idea about that until it was all over, and I saw bits of it, and I realized what everybody else was doing in it while I was home. Or do you understand that there's several stories running parallel?
Yes.
And Bob Mitchum and Polly Bergen and Peter Graves are kind of in one section of the world, while John Houseman and John Michael Vincent and I are in another, and David Dukes and on and on. And the great treat when I saw the first 3 hours was to see what all my friends had been doing all that time.
Can that be challenging for an actor, that feeling of being disjointed?
Oh, very. Yeah, no question about it. We started this in, this will be 18 hours for television.
It's a massive miniseries, right?
Yeah. We started it in December of '81 and shot for a month or two at Hollywood, and then the company moved to Europe, but I didn't go until a couple of months later. Now you show up 2 months later in a whole different setting, but trying to thread together scenes that you had started in Hollywood. You know, you walked out a door there, and now you come in a door in Vienna, and in a sense the same scene, and that is challenging.
Was it a physically demanding role for you?
Physically, no, it wasn't a physical role at all. I was just hugging and kissing a lot, you know, which is wonderful.
Oh, that can be pretty demanding.
Oh, yes, right. That's the strain, but Polly Bergen is wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, I know a lot of people are aware of the fact that Jim Arness is your brother.
Yes.
How's he doing?
He's just fine, sure. He's relaxing right now up on his ranch in north of Santa Barbara in California and looking at some new projects, and he's just great.
Well, I brought it up for the very reason that there have been brothers in the movies and on the theater before. And it's rather unusual. I remember that Tom Conway and George Sanders were brothers.
Yeah.
They didn't look alike at all, I didn't think. Of course, the Barrymores. And you and your brother Jim, is that difficult for brothers?
Well, it wasn't in our case, no. I think we were always very pleased with each other's success. You know, he started Gunsmoke in the mid-50s and did it for 20 years. That's not a bad run. And at that same time, I was doing Fury, and then came Mission, and so there was never a conflict between the two of us.
You're the younger brother?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think of all the brothers in the films, you were the most successful. I can't think of anybody who'd match you.
Well,
except for the Barrymores.
Well,
they were rather successful.
That would be a nice comparison. Yeah, they certainly were. Certainly were, and that whole family were magnificent actors, of course.
Where did you come from? Where were you raised?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Both of you are from Minnesota, and
yes.
you were in the theater from the beginning?
I took a theater major at the University of Minnesota, and then went to Hollywood after that. Jim was already there and started, and I'm just about to go back to the university now to do a series of television shows for them.
Well, when will this Winds of War be seen?
Winds of War will be on in February. I don't have the exact dates for you yet, but it looks as though the whole 18 hours is going to play in 1 week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's another route, huh?
So it'll be, yeah.
Then what do you do?
Go on to the next project.
Have you got anything in mind?
Well, I've got a lot of stuff. I've been here filming a show called Discover that will play here in late January. I don't know if you're familiar with Discover magazine.
Sure.
Well, this is a television special on the kinds of subjects that are treated in that magazine. And we just come from shooting in Puerto Rico. We've been filming here the last several days at the Eye Research Institute, in the Boston Public Garden with recumbent bikes and a whole lot of stuff. It's interesting.
That sounds fascinating. Peter, great.